Hey everybody, it has been forever. 3 weeks, count them, 1, 2, 3 weeks since we've been here on Tumbler Creek Bees and More. Gonna check what's going on inside this hive. I'm really excited. There's a few things we're looking for. One, we're gonna see what's going on. I think things have probably slowed down a little bit. We just don't have as many flowers and stuff around. But we'll check and see if we got honey. I don't know, this is my first year, so it may have taken them so long to get the hive established that we're not gonna get a bunch of honey. We'll just look in here and see. If there's not much honey in there, I wanna look below to make sure that the hive is still healthy, to make sure we've still got eggs, we've got capped brood, we've got the numbers are still growing. And I also wanna check for a couple things this time of year. One of them is called varroa mites. They're the devil. They're as bad as squash bugs are for squash. Those mites get in there. One, they spread disease inside the hive, and two, they get up there in the fuzzy part of the bees and just mess with them, and they can kill a hive, varroa mites. So I've got to check just to kind of make sure the hive, there's not a bunch of dead bees down in there. Also got to check for Japanese beetles. They'll get in the hive and do the same thing. They'll destroy a hive as well. And there's some actions I can take if I find these things, but first I'm just gonna look and see how we're looking. Now if there's a bunch of bees up in the top, I don't have to worry about that too much. That means the hive is growing, they're moving up. If there's not, it can mean a couple things, but it's not growing, or they're just kind of shy getting up there. It's just not quite big enough to move on up there. So I'm gonna crack into this thing, see what it is. Hey, thanks for waiting for me. For those of you who have been gently encouraging me to get back on here and do more content, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for caring. It makes my whole heart feel kind of nice and warm and fuzzy inside. For those of you who've been on me about getting on, well, thank you for the accountability, because I got to do this stuff. I got to keep my bees going. So without further ado, let's get these things smoked. And I've got my protective covering, because I'm not getting in here without smoke and protective covering. That would just be crazy. So let's see what we got. I see bees. They're about to be mad at me. A few bees kind of hanging out underneath there. And there are some bees up in here, but I gotta tell you, I'm not seeing, foundation being built. Like I'd like to see some foundation being built in here, and I'm not seeing that. And it may have just been the late start I got. I got a little bit of a late start. Well, there's a little, if you can see the little bit different color, there's some wax in there, but there's definitely more movement than there was. You can see some wax in there. Let's see what happens if I move toward the center. But you can definitely see there's some wax on there. Like they're wanting to start trying to do some things, but just not really. Just not really getting after it too much. Hear that, you might have been able to hear that kind of crack open. They really, careful guys, kind of messed with their world a little bit. All of a sudden they were inside, now they're outside. They kind of built up there. Looking for eggs and capped capped brood, and I'm not seeing just a bunch of it. It makes me a little bit nervous. Well, they are active today. Well, there are lots and lots of bees. All right, here I'm seeing larvae, and I'm seeing what I'm wanting to see, and lots of it. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of larvae on this one, and you can see a lot of the honey being formed along the top edge. See? I was starting to get worried that maybe the queen was not very active, but she's in there somewhere. One of these days I'm gonna have to see her, but she's definitely been active in the last few days. I try and slide that on there where they can get out as I scoot them off. But it's just almost impossible. Every once in a while, one's just going to be under there and get squished, and I hate that. Better put my inside tray on. So, here's what we saw. Kind of what I expected to see. It's a little slower going than I was hoping it would be. Probably a little bit less activity than I was hoping to see. But there is activity. There's still larvae. There's still eggs being hatched and growing bees. And there's more bees. There's probably not a whole bunch more bees than the last time we got in here, but I'm hoping to see more brood next time. I'm gonna go ahead and put a feeder back on here and start feeding them again, just to see what happens. My expectancy for honey flow isn't great, to tell you the truth, but we got a good start on our hive, and it took a little longer to get the hive. We started a little bit later. We started with a package instead of a nucleus, and so those are things that just are involved, the things that we learning and getting to go the first year. We'll come back in here in a couple weeks after I put some feed on here and see what's going on. And it'll be exciting to see kind of how those pumpkins out there affected, because I'm about to have about 150 pumpkin plants out there with lots and lots of blooms. That'll keep those bees busy, and it'll be fun. So I am going to come back next week with a very special pumpkin edition of Tumbler Creek Bees and Pumpkins. So I hope you'll come back for that. Guys, have a great summer. Enjoy this beautiful summer weather here in Oklahoma. Hey, also subscribe. I haven't been pushing the subscription deal, but next week, get ready. It's gonna be subscribe city. So I've got 81. We surpassed 75. Maybe I can get to 100. If you'll subscribe, I can get to 100. Let's see what we can do. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time.